physics problem. You may have seen the parallel plate capacitor, but what about a spherical capacitor? So a spherical capacitor has two spheres, concentric spheres, with a smaller one on the inside of radius A, a bigger one on the outside of radius B, charge Q, negative Q. And we're going to find the capacitance of this spherical capacitor. So before that, let's find the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor just as a review. If you have, and I'm not going to derive this, but if you have two parallel plates, and let's say they're separated by a distance s, with a charge Q on that one and a negative Q right there, then we get a fairly constant electric field in the center. The magnitude is Q over A epsilon naught, where A is the area of one plate, epsilon naught's a constant, and Q is the charge on one plate. And it's always written like this because Q over A is the charge density, the surface charge density. Well, we define capacitance as Q over delta V, and we use the magnitude delta V because we don't want a negative capacitance. It doesn't really matter which way we go. So if we want to do that, we need to find the change of potential going from there to there and take Q and divide by that. So I can write delta V, the magnitude of delta V is going to be equal to, well, I don't have to worry about the negative sign. It's the integral of E dot dr going from there to there. But E is constant, and so this really just becomes E times S, right? Because I have, and it's actually, if I go that way, it's negative, but who cares because we're taking the absolute value. So that's the change of potential across a capacitor, the electric field times S. Now, if I put this in for the electric field, I get delta V is going to be Q, that's times S over A epsilon naught. Now, let's put that in up here. C equals Q over this, which is, QS A epsilon naught. Oh, look at that. The Q's canceled just like it's supposed to. Epsilon naught A over S. And that's the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Now, we're going to do the same thing here. But the only difference is that we don't have a constant electric field anymore. Let's just imagine that I have some electric field. It points in the direction away from there. And we have this rule, which I'm not going to derive. But I can find the expression for the magnitude of the electric field in between these. The magnitude of the electric field only depends on what's closer, right? So imagine that I take away this middle sphere. Then the electric field due to this negatively charged sphere is zero inside, right? If a uniformly charged sphere has a zero electric field inside. So that means I only have the electric field due to the positive charge, which looks like a point charge. So I can say E equals 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q over R squared. That's the magnitude of the electric field. Now I'm going to integrate going from here to there to find the change of potential, and then I can use that to find the capacitance. Okay, so let's do that. So let me just redraw my two spheres because I ran out of room. There's my two spheres. That has a radius A, that one's B, and this is plus Q, and that's minus Q, but that doesn't really matter. The minus Q doesn't matter. But it does matter because a capacitor has to have no net charge, so that the combination of these two has to be zero. And here's my electric field. I'm going to integrate from R equals A to R equals B, and I can say delta V. I'll write it out the long way. Negative A to B of E dot dr. But E is in the direction of dr, so I can write this as negative the integral from A to B of 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q over R squared dr. Well, much of that stuff is constant. Negative Q over 4 pi epsilon naught, the integral of 1 dr over R squared from A to B. This isn't too bad, right? If we integrate, we add 1 to the power. This is r to the negative 2. If I add 1 to that, I get r to the negative 1, but then I have to divide by negative 1. So I get, I get delta V is negative Q over 4 pi epsilon naught, and then negative 1 over R from A to B. well, there's the negative sign there, there's the negative sign there. I'll cancel those, and I get Q over 4 pi epsilon naught. Then I have 1 over B minus 1 over A. And you'll notice that if I'm going in the direction of the electric field, I should have a negative change in potential. And so B is larger than A, but 1 over B is smaller. So this does give me a negative number, but I don't really care because I'm going to use the magnitude anyway. So let's write the magnitude, delta V magnitude, as Q over 4 pi epsilon naught. And then I'm going to write this as 1 over A minus 1 over B, just for convenience. Now I can calculate the capacitance. C is Q over delta V. So it's going to be Q divided by this, Q, and then I have to multiply by this. Wait. That's up on top. Why'd I put that on the bottom? 1 over A minus 1 over B. What was I thinking? You should have stopped me. Okay, so I take Q divided by this. I have the 4 pi, 1 over 4 pi, but I'm dividing by 4 pi epsilon naught, so I get 4 pi epsilon naught, and then I divide by this, 1 over A minus 1 over B. And then here we get the Q's canceled. That's what we wanted. So the answer is 4 pi epsilon naught over 1 over A minus 1 over B. And that's the capacitance. Now, let's just check for a second that it has the right units, right? So back over here, I have the capacitor of a parallel plate capacitor. We have the epsilon naught, and then I have area over distance. So this is going to be units of epsilon naught times distance. That's what I want, right? It should have epsilon naught meters. Does this have the same units? Well, 4 pi doesn't really have a unit. I have the epsilon naught, and then I have 1 over meters. So epsilon naught divided by 1 over meters is epsilon naught times meters, so it does have the same units. So that's good. So there you go. The capacitance of a spherical capacitor. The end. Hope you enjoyed that. I had fun. Sorry about the mistake.